This is a Bakugou ex-listener, so I hope you enjoy. I asked you which character you wanted to see for this one, and most of you said Bakugou. So here it is. I hope you enjoy, and yeah, I hope you enjoy the video. For you, meeting Bakugou Katsuki was a roller coaster of emotions, happiness, pain, sadness, and many more. But you don't regret anything. It was one of the best times of your life when you went to UA. You have gotten a little late to UA since you were a transfer student and you entered class 1A, so most of the school didn't like a newbie entering class 1A, the hero course. But of course, you didn't care. You know you deserved your place since you worked hard for it. The first thing you hear when you enter the classroom was Bakugo screaming at Puisuku Midoriya, that at the time you didn't know. Your first encounter with any of the students was Bakugo. You guys fought. He told you that you'll never surpass him, and since you have an attitude that doesn't let anyone step over you, you told him to challenge accepted. You started to be better at him and everything you could, and that really got in the boy's nerves. After months of competitions, contests between the both of you started catching feelings for the angry blonde, and the angry blonde started catching feelings for you. You both were stubborn people, so you wouldn't admit it. Class 1A had to gather itself to help gather two of the most irrational people ever. You were a nice person, but you had an attitude, so what can you say? And thanks to all their efforts, you guys finally started dating. Your relationship was fun. You and Katsuki knew each other very well, had almost the same taste, and it was fun for a while. It was fun until the third year of UA. Katsuki was more centered on becoming number one than ever. You were also centered on becoming number one, but not as great as him. You focused on him, your friends, your studies. You were trying to keep this moment alive, since in a few months you will be out in the real world as a hero or a psychic, whatever comes first. That's why, a few days before graduation day, you and Katsuki had an argument. It was terrible. You guys were at his dorm. He was screaming, you were screaming, and you were holding back your tears. You didn't want anyone to see you like this. You were a strong person. I will not let anyone, not even him, see you cry. The argument was about that Katsuki wanted to break up with you. You were devastated. You spent 3 years of your life with him, and suddenly he wanted to break up because you were a distraction. You said fine and just ran to your dorm and started crying. It took many efforts from your best friend Mina to take you out, where she could. Finally, you guys had graduated, and you actually became one of the psychics for the second Pro Hero Hawks. Your life was good, and it was already 5 years since then. You were no longer Hawks psychic, but you had your own agency, and right now you are getting ready to go to a high school gathering your class had. You didn't want to go, but Mina convinced you. You received a call from Mina, and she said, "Yuan, where are you? You need to be here now. The party's about to start." You gave her a chuckle and said, "Don't worry, Mina. I will be there in 10 minutes. Don't worry." She hummed in response and hung up the phone. You got your purse, put on your shoes, and left off. You were looking gorgeous. You had a beautiful red dress, high heels, and everything seemed perfect. When you get there, outside there were some reporters. They asked you questions like, how was your life, if you were single, how was hero work, and other stuff about your agency. When you finally managed to get in, you were greeted by Kaminari with a hug, and he said, "Yuan, it's been so long. It's been forever." You laughed and said, "Of course it's been forever. It's been like, 6 months?" He chuckled. "Yeah, I had to leave for that long time mission." You had remained being friends with most of Class 1A except Katsuki. You had all lost all contact with him after the breakup. Mina finally spotted you and said, Yuan, my baby's here. I'm so finally glad you came. I will have literally killed myself if I have been a moment alone with these guys again. Kirishima and Zero were behind her and they greeted you. After a small talk, Kirishima dragged you to the bar and he said, Yuan, I have something to tell you. You looked at him with a confused head and said, what is it? Well, Bakugou is coming to the gathering. Your face was in shock. He wasn't one to do school activities when you guys were back in high school. You said, and why are you telling me this? Because Yuan and him used to date, and it didn't end the best terms for either of the both sides. You humped in response and said, I couldn't care less if Bakugou is coming. It's just a gathering, and it's been, 5 years? I will be fine. He nodded, and you headed to dance with some of the girls. You were dancing with Uraraka and Momo when you spotted someone across the room. You saw Bakugou. He had gotten a little bit taller, and also he was more handsome than he was when you guys were in high school. You felt you were blushing, but just ignored it and keep on dancing with your friends. Little did you know, Bakugou had seen you too. He thought you looked gorgeous, and he was regretting he broke up with you. Every day since the breakup, he regretted it with his whole being. He walked over to Kaminari and Kirishima. As soon as he was spotted by the two males, Kaminari screamed, Hey, how's my favorite explosive boy? He just received a glare, and Kirishima said, Well, Bakugou has never changed, just still since high school. He chuckled and said, Of course I am. They started talking, and he could always feel his gaze walking back to you. You were stunning, and you looked so happy. He was sad that he wasn't part of that happiness. After a few minutes, you guys had to do speeches, saying thank you and saying how was seeing each other again. The tables were assigned, and you were seated with Midoriya, Todoroki, Bakugou, Mina, and Uraraka. You take your seat next to Mina, but you didn't know who's going to sit at the other side of you. When suddenly you see right next to you Bakugou. You try not to look at him because he was an arrogant bastard still, and you didn't want to talk to him. He spoke, Hey Yuan, long time no see. You looked at him and said, Yeah, Bakugou, it's been a long time. You guys had a little bit of small talk before you found Mina stand up and said, Well, I'm gonna switch seats with Todoroki. I want to talk to Araka a little bit. Is that okay, Yuan? You nodded, and soon Todoroki sat next to you. He said, Hey Yuan, how are you? I'm fine, thank you, Todoroki. You started talking with him, and Bakugou was glaring at the poor guy. He thought that Todoroki was all over you, which was true. Todoroki was flirting with you. Todoroki always had a crush on you back when you guys were in high school. But he never got a chance to confess his feelings, and you found out about a year later after you guys graduated. So he was trying his shot. After a moment, Todoroki said, Hey Yuan, you're single, right? You nodded, and he said, Well, I have been wanting to ask you this since we were in high school, but do you want to go on a date? That was it. Bakugou was furious. He suddenly grabbed your wrist and dragged you away from him. Everyone in the table had a confused look, even you. When you were finally in a corridor, you pulled away from him and said, Katsuki, what the actual fuck? Why did you do that? He looked at you with discomfort and said, I don't know, I'm sorry. I don't know what happened. I just got mad. You were furious, but you still managed to notice the jealousy in his tone of voice and his actions, so you decided to tease him a little bit. You crossed your arms and said, "Well, are you jealous or something?" Katsuki felt his face redden a little bit and he said, "Of course I'm not. Well, I will be jealous from someone like you." You humphed and said, "Well, because you took me away when Cherokee was asking me out, so why was that?" He finally looked back at you and pushed you against the wall. He said, "Yuan, that's none of your business. I just got mad and dragged you out of there by an instant. That doesn't mean anything and you should not make assumptions." You gave him a smirk and said, "Well, Katsuki, I think I can make assumptions since you actually just dragged me away from a date that I could actually have gone to." He was surprised you used his first name. You haven't used his first name since the breakup. And he was more surprised than you will actually accept a date with Todoroki. That was it for him. He took your chin and pulled you in for a kiss. You were surprised, but actually kissed back. You didn't know why you kissed back. You wanted to pull away, but you just actually missed him. You were never actually over the breakup, and he wasn't either. You guys kissed for a while, and you were the first one to pull away and said, "Katsuki, what was that? We are not together. We broke up 5 years ago." He hung his head low and said, "Yuan, that was the biggest mistake of my life. I love you. I cannot see my life without you. These 5 years have been a pain, okay? It has been a pain." You look up at your ex-boyfriend. He was about to cry, and you were about to. You really missed him. You pull him in for another kiss, where he was surprised. He was expecting you to reject him. After that, you leaned into his chest and said, "Katsuki, I have missed you these 5 years. I don't know if you have missed me as much as I missed you, but I can also imagine my life without you. I need you in my life." He pulled you in closer, if that was even possible, and said, "So, Yuan, am I just an ex now, or do you want to be my girlfriend again?" You look at him with a smile and said, "Of course I want to be your girlfriend again. Are you crazy?" You guys kissed again and then went back to the party. Everyone was confused, but when you told Mina you guys were back together, let's just say that the whole class found out that same night and they weren't surprised. You guys made a cute couple and they were glad you guys were back together.